Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be continuing with the AP Calculus BC syllabus. In today's video I'm going to be discussing the first derivative test and increasing and decreasing functions. So let me explain to you what increasing and decreasing functions are. So say we have a function f of x. An increasing function is when f prime of x is greater than 0. When this is the case, then f of x is increasing. So when f prime of x is greater than 0, then f of x is increasing. When f prime of x is less than 0, then f of x is decreasing. So f prime of x is the derivative of f of x. And finally, when f prime of x is equal to 0, f of x is constant. So these are three important things you should know when it comes to identifying increasing, decreasing, and constant functions. So now let's discuss the first derivative test. So let C be a critical number. So C is a critical number. We discussed, right, what critical numbers or critical points are. It's when f prime of x is equal to 0. So this is the first derivative test which I'm explaining. I'll just write it down. So this is the first derivative test. So the first derivative test states that if f prime of x changes from negative, so I'm just going to write it as like this, from negative to positive at x equals c, then c comma f of c is a relative minimum of f. So this might seem complex at first, but once I show you guys how it works, it'll be easy. And similarly, so this is the first part. The second part is, it's the same thing, but instead of negative to positive. So if f prime of x changes from this case, it's positive to negative at x equals c. So if f prime of x changes from positive to negative at x equals c, then c comma f of c is a relative maximum of f. So in the last case, it was a relative minimum, but in this case, it's a relative maximum of f. So now let me explain to you what these things are. So the first point stated that when it changes from negative to positive, so when f dash of x changes from negative to positive, there is a relative minimum. So we all know that this is for f prime of x. So we all know that when the derivative is negative, it'll be downward sloping, right? Something like this. And when the derivative is positive, it'll be upward sloping. So at x equals c, so say this point is c. The first part stated that when f prime of x changes from negative, so this is negative, to positive at x equals c, so at this point you can see it's changing. There is a relative minimum of f. Isn't this a minimum point? It is, right? So that's how simple it is. That's what it's saying. Now, let me explain the other part, which said positive to negative. So this is for f prime of x. Then there's a relative maximum, and this is for f of x. So when it's positive, it's upward sloping, and when it's negative, it's downward sloping. This is the point C. It's changing from positive to negative. So at the point where it changes from positive to negative, we can clearly see that this is a relative maximum, right, in the graph of f of x. And in the graph of f dash of x, it can look anything. It just has to cross the x-axis like this. So like any line like this, we can see it's going from positive to negative, right? So that's how it'll look in the graph of f of x. So that's how simple it is. So this is what we call the first derivative test. In today's video, I discussed the first derivative test, increasing functions, decreasing functions, and when f of x is constant. Thank you.